Thank you, President. Senators, distinguished guests and fellow Australians. Firstly, I would like to start by thanking the people of Western Australia for giving me the opportunity to represent them here under the patriotic banner of One Nation. I am honoured and humbled, and I will stand up for the interests of Western Australians each and every day. Today, I rise not just as a newly sworn-in senator, but a son, a father, a brother, a husband and a grandfather, and a proud Australian. And I'm not ashamed to admit that, up until a matter of weeks ago, I was wearing a high-vis workwear and a hard hat on a construction site in my home state of Western Australia. I want to take you on a journey, my journey, because where I've come from shapes everything I stand for and how I will serve in this chamber. I was born and bred on the central coast of New South Wales at Gosford. My childhood was spent outdoors, boating and kayaking in Narara Creek, riding our bikes without helmets, climbing trees, catching cicadas, chasing the last of the daylight. No phones, no internet, no constant supervision, and somehow we survived. There were only two rules: tell Mum when you're going to be home, and be home before dark. It was a good life, and I genuinely believe that young people today are poorer for not having lived it. My parents and grandfather were my greatest influences. Mum and Dad worked relentlessly and instilled that same work ethic in their children. Life wasn't easy for Mum and Dad, especially after Labor's the recession we had to have. Mum is still working too hard. But if you needed her, Mum was always there, had a hug and some advice, and a cuppa and a toasted sandwich to die for. And Dad, the hardest working man I've ever known. A hard man, but a fair man. A real man. Let's just say you didn't want to be on the wrong side of his big, hard, concrete-stained hands. Some people frown on discipline today. I say it's the reason society is where it is now. My grandfather, Jack Frederick Harbrow, grew up in even harder times. Sadly, his father was deaf and blind from an industrial accident. So at 9 years old, he delivered milk before school and 365 days a year. At one point, even with broken ribs from a disagreement with the horse that pulled the cart. Running from house to house, horse and cart plodding along remotely with a big ladle called a Jenny and a smile helping feed his family. My grandpa also served our great nation in the jungles of New Guinea in World War II. He never boasted about it, said he only threw custard pies. But I knew the truth, and I thank him that he didn't burden my young mind with the details. He lost his wife, my grandmother, when my mum was 8. A young man just back from the war, a single father with 4 children. The old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, the little village of Woiwoi did a great job with Mum, my aunt and my 2 uncles. I carry my grandfather's legacy with pride. From Grandpa, I learned service and sacrifice. From Dad, I learned the value of hard work. From Mum, I learned that love wins out in the end. That's what shaped the lens I view the world through. A world where love, respect, honour and hard work matter. Your handshake is your word. And there's nothing more important than your word. Love you, Mum and Dad. I miss Grandpa dearly. After 6 years at Gosford High School, I entered the workforce, the eldest son of entrepreneurial parents. I caught the bug. But I didn't come from privilege. My working life has been forged in the construction and oyster farming industries. Industries that demand grit, resilience and real-world experience, and a healthy respect for Mother Nature. Most notably in 2001, my younger brother and I started a business, originally Whitten Brothers, now Whitten's Group. We began with an old ute, a good work ethic, a can-do attitude, and not much else. With the help of many great people along the way, not least our wives and children who put up with long days and FIFO life, we grew Whitten's to a peak of 1,000 employees. And kids, take note, turnover is not profit. There are no shortcuts. There's blood, a lot of sweat, and sometimes tears. And if you're lucky, a little something left over at the end. We started the business in Port Stephens, just north of Newcastle, doing small domestic jobs. We then moved on to larger commercial projects, and over time, working all around New South Wales. In 2007, we were asked to price a small package of work in the northwest of Western Australia, the Pilbara. Once that red dust gets on you, you never get it off. Since that time, we have worked on many iconic iron ore, coal and gas projects all around Australia. This was the start of the mining boom, where opportunity and money flowed freely. So we packed up our families, kids, dogs, horses, and made the big move to the west. In the early days, the real sandgropers called us the wise men from the east. It's funny, but I reckon I'm more like a sandgroper myself now. I'm no longer part of Whitten's group, and I wish my brother and his wife every success in the future. What I took from those 2 decades was this: integrity matters. I've always seen myself as a capitalist with a conscience. It was never about getting rich at any cost. In fact, it wasn't even about getting rich. I wanted everyone around me to do well, not just me. I would like my legacy to be remembered as a good man, a fair man, like my dad. I always like the quote by Marcus Aurelius: "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Now to my intent. I was elected by the people of Western Australia to represent them in the Senate, and I will view every decision through the lens of the people who voted for me. I will fight for our families, our values, our livelihoods, and our Australian way of life. We all stand here today because generations before us were prepared to, and did, lay down their lives for this great nation. Their sacrifice is the essence of Australia. It inspires me to fight for a country worthy of them. We owe them more than remembrance. We owe them courage and conviction. There are a number of other things I also care deeply about. Free speech. I am a free speech absolutist within the bounds of respect and decency, not censorship and fear. Otherwise, who decides what's acceptable? What law? Whose law? As a famous podcaster says, the cure to bad speech is more and better speech. And as the old saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. We are adults, strong, resourceful men and women. We can think and reason for ourselves. I call on the silent majority: find your voice, but think critically before you speak. And don't confuse noise for wisdom. And our farmers, they are more than food producers. They are the stewards of our land and sea and champions of our economy. But too often they're crushed by over-regulation, unfair trade, political shenanigans and global agendas. Anyone declaring from a private jet that cows are the problem should take a look in the mirror. And sheep, well, the formation of the Labor Party was closely linked to the sheep industry, and now it's the same party turning its back on its foundation. Keep the sheep. Now to small business. From Albany to Kurunurra, from Freo to Cal, small business is the engine room of the economy and this country. They need less red and green tape, lower taxes and a fair go. I salute and support any Aussie that has a crack. And regional Western Australia, from Pilbara to the Great Southern, our regions have been neglected. They need services, infrastructure and opportunity. Not just handouts and pork barrelling at election time, but a proper fair go. I intend to be a senator with a long-term vision for our state of Western Australia, not one that views our future in 3-year blocks that coincide with each election. And to our young Australians, I often hear, there's no opportunity anymore. I'll never own a home. To that I say, try. Don't give up. We must return housing to what it was always meant to be, a right for all Australians, not a speculative prize for foreign buyers, corporations or temporary residents. But remember, your attitude determines your altitude. As Michelangelo said, the greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss, but that it's too low and we reach it. On crime, we must be tougher on violent offenders, especially those who harm our women and children. The law should be blind to everything except the offence. And science, let me be clear, the science is never settled. Once upon a time we were told that smoking was good for us, asbestos was safe and DDT was harmless. Remember, safe and effective. So when someone says the science is settled, ask, settled for whom and at what cost? Real science invites interrogation. Real scientists welcome scrutiny. Only bureaucrats and ideologues fear debate. And speaking of ideology, what lunatic thought it was a good idea to put a wind farm in the middle of a whale berthing and nursery area? Geograph Bay, Western Australia, a pristine natural wonder, now threatened in the name of saving the planet. If your plan to save the planet kills baby whales and requires the clubbing of koalas to death that are in the way, can I suggest maybe it's not such a good plan? I remember a time when we cared for our wildlife. What happened? I stand for more freedom and less government. I stand for equality for all Australians. The time of overreach is over. The era of common sense must return, because Australia stands at a crossroads. This great ship, our island home, is drifting, and the rudder's not working. To turn this bloody big ship around, we need bold leadership. A return to the principles that built this great nation, not a bridge full of clowns and ideologues steering us towards the rocks. Again, to the good people of Western Australia, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I will never take your trust for granted. Before I close, I want to thank a few special people who helped shape me. Tony, Rod, Troy, knowledge is silver, but wisdom is gold. Thank you for the gold. To James Ashby, the dedicated staff, the One Nation team, and all the candidates and volunteers, your hard work and dedication does not go unnoticed. I'll do my best to make you all proud. To Pauline Hanson, thank you for your courage, your vision and your trust. I stand proudly beside you. By the way, I'd love one of your famous hand-knitted jumpers. I brought a tape measure if that helps. To my brothers and sister, eat less, live longer. To my 4 amazing children, their partners, and my 4 beautiful grandchildren, this is for you. And finally, to my wife Alison, my rock, my princess. I love you to the stars and back. Thank you for the love and unwavering support. This journey would have been impossible without you. I'd like to leave you with the words of Sir Henry Parkes, the father of Federation. The crimson thread of kinship runs through us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Whitten.